Well, hello, everyone. This is Jessie Bowen with Coach Nathan Ray, and this is the power to live your vision. Yes. Hey, sir, how you doing?
Happy, radiant, and free, shining bright like three diamonds, getting after it over here. I hope you are.
Better and better, trying to make the world a better place.
And you're doing it. We're doing it together.
All right. And we want to kick off by saying this podcast is sponsored by Elite Publications. Visit our website, which is www.elitepublications.org. We are a publishing company, regardless to your genre. You know, we can help you not just write your book, not just publish your book, but to market your book. You know, this year, we have 3 international bestsellers we've already created this year. We have other authors we're trying to bring in. And so we got a challenge. We're looking for 100 authors. This is our 100 authors to write their book. And we want to get on that because we want to have a special event in Las Vegas. And we want you to go to be a part of that and celebrating, 100 international best-selling authors. So if you've been thinking about writing a book, then, let us know because, we want to help you. Everybody's got a story. You just have to get it out. And in fact, we are in week 8, or should I say chapter 8. Coach Nathan, we have decided that our podcast is going to be a book. And that's going to be released in Las Vegas. And the title of that book, guess what the title is? The Power to Live Your Vision. So this is chapter 8 of that book. So we got a lot of innovative ways to help you to be able to write a book, publish a book, and then be able to monetize a book. See, that is the trick, is how to be able to do that. So in our lesson today, we really wanted to talk about the power of associations. We're motivational coaches, mental empowerment coaches, goal setting. We've been blessed with such great opportunities. And we decided during the Christmas holiday, since we chat every day, we wanted to give this information away so we can help someone else. And that's the reason why when you hear me say, we want to make the world a better place. That's really what it's about. So, hey, Coach.
Yes, sir.
So, we're going to be talking about what my mom used to always tell me. And that is association. And she would always say, you are guilty by association. In other words, if Johnny doing something wrong and you hanging out with Johnny, then guess what? Everybody's getting a beating. See, back in those days, we didn't have a lot of telephones, couldn't call social service and all that kind of stuff. So, no pain, no gain. So that's not what we're going to be talking about today, but not from a negative point, but we're going to be talking about from a positive point, and that is mastering your world from the inside out. And guilty by association means that who are you hanging out with? I can tell how you're doing when I look at your 5 closest friends. And so that's what we really want to talk about in our program today.
Yes, sir.
So I know you're younger than I am. So did your parent, did you hear that before?
Oh yeah. My generation was still catching the belt. Go out and get your own switch. Go get your own corporal punishment out of the woods.
Wow. You're older than what I thought.
Yes. So it's so true. And I love how you put that because it's equal on both sides. And the tendency, if we have and that's why we get to guard our words, our thoughts, and see this from a positive view versus the negative view, and use the power of that positivity and understanding, just like it's easily seen on that negative side, but it's more empowering and more powerful if we do it on the positive side. So, and that's I mean, that's been a blessing for me to be able to spend time with yourself and to be able to draw from your wisdom and to share anything that I could share. We share back and forth and grow with each other and stretch each other, you know, and get around people that will stretch us in a positive way. And so that, yeah, I agree with you wholeheartedly. And I think sometimes the challenge though is, and maybe you can speak to this, is we get used to what we get used to. And sometimes the challenge of creating distance and space, understanding that no, you can still love the person, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you need to be around them a lot. So that might be something our viewers have experienced or looking at right now as they think about this topic, which is, you know, it might start with subtracting some things before you add things.
Well, that's exactly right. And everyone, if you're just dropping on our program or you're passing through, hang out for a little bit, come back to us later. We are on Roku TV. You can get the app on your TV, and that is Elite Publications Worldwide TV. That's on Roku, and we're also on Spotify too. So a really important message we're trying to deliver today. And I think is, we all have experienced it. And so the thought that I want you to have, who or what are you allowing to influence your thinking? I'll say that again. Who or what are you allowing to influence your thinking? That's pretty powerful within itself. That's that question for you to ponder. And you can look at that based upon the outcomes you're getting. If you're not getting the outcomes that you want in life, take a look around. See, is it just life? Well, life is always gives you what you ask for. So, find out what it is. When you think about that, the association, this is an example of how the environment you choose, the people you surround yourself with, and the thoughts with what they're thinking, because these thoughts directly impact our success, peace, and personal growth. I know you were hanging out last week. Was it in Colorado?
No, actually it was I was in Scottsdale, Arizona.
Oh, Arizona. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Well, and we're looking at in May we'll be in Denver, in Golden.
In Denver.
Yes,
and I
sir.
know that, you were out there with some good friends of mine, Grandmaster Jeff Smith and Grandmaster Stephen Oliver. Everyone, we're martial artists, but everything that we talk about goes back into the business and personal growth. But I know you were out there, and these guys are what I call the superstars of martial arts business. And, so, and I'm bringing that in there because the Stephen Oliver and Jeff Smith are the elite platform, and whatever those guys say, I listen to it. Like what you say?
Yeah. What is that? EF Hutton days.
Yeah. So tell Jeff me that experience of making that decision that you want to grow. So therefore you're putting yourself in, you're repotting yourself. That's what happens with plants. A plant is scheduled, it should be 24 inches tall, but it's only 12.
Right.
And it's the pot that it's in.
Yeah.
So you have to go and repot the plant so that the roots can expand, so that it can grow. So this is what we really have to do in life. Sometimes we have to repot ourselves. So let's share just a tidbit on your experience, that growth experience.
I mean, I've been blessed to be able to go out there and be with the top martial arts business owners in the world, and literally in the world, and getting in that space by our conversations and everything was a great prep to be amongst them, because they absolutely stretched me. You can hear people who make that statement and you may not understand. So I just want for our audience, for you to understand, you're doing very well in and of yourself, and it's okay. However, understanding that nature, if you look at nature, it's always evolving, expanding, and still growing, ever growing. And if you become stagnant, you're going down. It's only two ways. You're either going up or you're going down. There is really no sitting still. Everything's in motion. We're in an ocean of motion. And so being out there with them really stretched me. They are doing things in an elite way with an elite mindset, a totally different mindset. So from the very start, I mean, one of the members of the group, Jason Purcell, was awesome. I mean, I won't start calling names, but even before the meeting started, the enthusiasm he had to share with me, and he's sharing about what he's doing and how it's working and how it could work for me. And so it was like having a seminar before the seminar. Just you're out there with great people, and you're meeting people on that level that like a lot of the things that they were saying and they were speaking matter-of-factly about, it was giving me a whole new vision of what's possible. I've thought about big things. In my mind, it was big. But then when you really get around big thinkers, you realize there's other levels to it. Like they say in the movies, there are levels to this. Yeah. So by just being in, and most of the time I was quiet, I was a fly. I was going to be the fly on the wall, listening to high level conversations, thought patterns, how perspectives work from that level. It's like being on a mountain. If you're at the bottom of the mountain, it looks a lot different than when you're standing on top of the mountain. So yes, sir, I was absolutely stretched. And, and getting in that, being blessed to be in that environment is very exciting. So I know now that this initial excitement, not to just burn your jets too soon, like that commercial when the guy's in the garage with his hot rod and he hits the gas and his gas needle goes from full to E in one press of the pump of the thing. I know this is a long-term progress. And so, but no, absolutely on the subject of the day, everyone, I mean, getting around new people give you high-level people, quality people gives you new vision, the ability to stretch and to even know what goals that you can set beyond where you are every day already. So I can keep going, but I'm not. But that's in a nutshell what was going on.
Well, and I wanted you to share that because, we're not just talkers, we're doers. We're doers.
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
We're taking information, we're processing information, because, we have a vision, we have goals set and things we want to do. And this is part of it, is to talk out loud and hope that it's a benefit for someone else. It's definitely a benefit for me to make me better, to reach that next level. That's a part of what my destiny is. So when we think about this, association, how it shapes you, your identity and your outcome. So when you are in that place and you see someone that's thriving, and you want to thrive, so you follow that. You may not know that, but it may be in a book. I used to follow Tony Robbins, and Les Brown was one of my favorite people. And I do coaching seminars for corporations, but I never send Jessie in, I send Les Brown in, because I try to emulate Les Brown's presentation. What makes Les Brown great? I want to be guilty by association because I'm listening to Les Brown. I'm watching Les Brown. Les Brown has this success. So I want to have that. So when I go into a meeting, they're getting Les Brown. They pay major dollars for Les Brown. So I want to be like, so that's what we're talking about.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And well, you're not careful,
emulate greatness, right?
Right. And so if you are in that place and that you are emulating something or someone that's not moving you to your destiny. We all have a purpose. God has given us all a purpose. It's not just to be born and to die, because in between that space, there is a journey. and we are all to be on that journey. What can you innovate? Just like I said, the power to live your vision. This podcast, what will it be? It's only the beginning. Now it's on Roku. It starts to be one thing, but it's something else. And so when you are now, when your association, you may start off listening to our podcast today, but in 6 months, now you have your own podcast, or you're one of our hosts on the podcast. And but you never know. But on this process, you always preparing for that place that you're going to be, that place you need to be in that. And that's why between mindset and manifesting, I know manifesting is that new word, and we were talking about it last night.
You see me smiling.
about manifesting without going woo 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 woo. These guys in the hokey pokey stuff.
Yeah. I get that, but and it's that's why we talk about the power of words and using language properly and getting our mindset right, so that we understand that these ideas are based in law. They're based in laws and principles that work for whoever works them. And so, I think, one of the big things with mindset and manifestation is, your consciousness. Like when we say consciousness, like you said, it's easy for people to shoot off in outer space. But if you really just keep it, real, it's really about your thought processes, because you're only going to make certain decisions from a certain mindset. So being able to shift that, we can say, is our consciousness, what we're paying attention to, how we see ourselves and how we see others. But that can shift when, like you said, when you're around somebody. I mean, I spend a lot of time with you, and I've been blessed, and I'm thankful for that, because I can be talking to you and we talk about an idea and you go, yeah, that's pretty good. And then the next week you're showing me the product. Hey, order this book that we were talking about last week. I tell people anything. If I don't know anything else, I know Hanshi Dr. Jessie Bowen is a producer. He is a doer. So that's helped me, because I wasn't making decisions decisively. I was procrastinating and overanalyzing. And when you spend time with someone who doesn't do that, you start to see a pattern of thinking and process that you can acquire, what we were just talking about, by association. So I said, man, I like that quality. I want to be like that. And then you can emulate until you discover for yourself and implement it in a way that's completely you. But just being in that space and shifting your consciousness is big, or your level of awareness, because you got to educate yourself to change. You're not you can't delete. Your brain really isn't designed to delete things, but you can do something on a higher level that outstrips what you've been doing. So it's, being in harmony with how the mind works, being in that association. And it's cool because, and I'll just say this last thing is, I know in study, you hear about people that have two tuning forks in the same space, and they clang the tuning fork. And this one that you clang starts vibrating at a certain rate. The other tuning fork picks it up. So even just being in the room, being in proximity, that's why Zoom is great, but live events, you cannot top it, because you're literally getting into the vibratory rate of the people you're around. And if they're low-level people, you're going to start resonating on the same, vibrating on the same. But if they're high-level people, that's a real blessing. So, yeah, I just wanted to throw that in. But, yeah, yes, sir.
And so when we think about mindset, we're going to use that as, how do I think? What is my mindset? What is my thinking? Because depending upon your mindset, that also determines your manifestation or your manifesting power. Someone says, manifest, how do I? Well, we do. Scientists say we have over 70,000 thoughts today. So we have the power to be able to manifest in our lives. What are you looking at? What are you thinking about? What are your goals? What's your vision? How do you feel about this person or that person? And it's so easy to be influenced based upon our mindset, based upon our thinking. You know, we have hatred in our heart, then it's easy for our mindset to become that direction, and we become now a part of something that's not good. And our thinking goes to hatred. Or if we think about love or making the world a better place, then we become that.
Yes,
And we
sir.
start drawing these things, people, places into our lives, you know, based on how we're actually thinking. So as you're going through, think about, what is your mindset? Look around you. What are you drawing, or what's been drawn into your life? How much do you listen to the news? You know, in fact, I've just started unfriending folks. My 5,000 people I'm starting to whittle them down. When I see folks posting political crazy stuff, I don't want that on my page, nor do I want it in my life. Don't want that person around me. No, I'm just sort of, what do? You have a choice.
It's a filter.
You have a choice for letting people to be in your life, say what they want to say, do what they want to do. And if you're not there because you're trying to make the world a better place, I'm on the side of let's make it a better place, not let's just destroy. And doing that. So it's just not you as that person, but it's also your environment. It is your children. It is your spouse. It is your family. It is your friends. There's an impact going on throughout. So that's that question, what is it? Or, how does, what am I manifesting in my life? And then we got to teach these things to our children and our closest friends. Nathan is pretty lonely at the top.
Yeah.
So I decided to develop you so I'd have somebody to talk to.
Hey, well, that's a blessing for me. Thank you.
That was a bad boy in me that just did that.
Thank you. No, I mean that, and it's great, and I appreciate it. No, the great thing is when you develop the power of understanding that you can guard your environment, you can make the decision to it. What is it? James Clear, in his book Atomic Habits, one of the principles he spoke about was you develop great habits by controlling your environment. If you don't want to eat a certain way, just don't buy it and put it in your fridge. If you don't want TV, maybe you take the TV out of the room, or you turn it away, or you change the arrangement of the furniture. If you want to do better, perhaps you stop watching things that aren't feeding that positive side of you, and you go spend 5 or 10 minutes with someone who is you see them and what they're doing, and they're doing it at a higher level than you. And so you spend a few minutes with them. I heard something from Jim Rohn, actually, and I applied it. Jim Rohn said, he was talking, he said, why not go and invite someone who's on a high level to lunch and buy them lunch? And then when you go to lunch, close your mouth and listen. So when we went out to Colorado, I had put that seed out to Mr. Dunn, and I said, hey, I don't know if Grandmaster Smith and Grandmaster Oliver will be available, but it'd be great to do a lunch. I just kind of put it out there, and he didn't say anything else after that, really, because he wasn't at the event live. And but when you put things out in the atmosphere, they have a way of coming your way. So Grandmaster Oliver says, hey, you want to join us for lunch? I said, yes, sir, absolutely. And and so I was blessed to even be able to spend that additional time, and I gladly paid for lunch. I mean, it was a real blessing. So even in us taking, it's not always about take. Just an act of kindness in giving for appreciation of having that opportunity. That's a blessing to be able to give in that sense. It's very small, it's just buying someone lunch, but it's a big thing because the universe, you give and you get. You don't get any heat if you don't put any wood in the fireplace. So that was a real blessing. But those are things we have control over. Like you said earlier, we can guard it we can add to it. We can make the decision to do certain things in our environment. So I think that's a really powerful thing. And then we talk about how to master your internal world before trying to control your external world. And I think making good decisions and understanding that we can be humble and be students, and that there's more in store for us if we open ourselves up. Yeah. So I think that's another big thing. Doing that internal work is really important. So,
Grasshopper, you are learning much.
thank you, sir. Yes. Well, that's because I'm hanging out with you. That's right. And other wise men. Yeah, and women.
So we the next thing that we're going to cover, we're getting ready to end our podcast because this is only really about 30 minutes, and we don't want to hold everyone. But so again, there's a lot of information over the next 7 days. Go back through it. You feel free to message me on social media, ask me a question if you need to, or you can email Coach, email elite corporate coaching at gmail.com, elite corporate coaching at gmail.com. And so we look at the practical techniques of thinking. So when we're thinking, you got a lot of things that go into thinking. Thinking is just not just having a thought. See, thinking is about visualizing. Okay, so when I'm thinking, it's not just an empty hold up there, but what am I visualizing when I'm thinking? So when you say, well, I need to think about it, do you think about it or do you visualize it from all perspectives?
Yeah.
So when you now use visualization, you can now have better judgment about what you're doing, because in visualizing, you can look at it from a lot of different perspectives and not just be in the doing mode. You can be in that perspective of actually mentally seeing that and activating your, positive life vision. What is your positive life vision? And so, as we begin to mature, there gets that point that we have to think about all that other stuff is behind of our euphemism and all that. Now we're heading to another place. So life has its changes, but we don't want life to have changes and have regrets. You see, regrets are the things you look back at and you could become depressed because you wasted or feel as though you've wasted your life on those things that had no value, and then they're gone, and you're just saying, well, what happened with all the time in my life? And then you have to come up with the strategies to intentionally align yourself with purpose-driven influences. I'll say that again. Strategies to intentionally align yourself with purpose-driven influences. So when you are around people or you're doing something, that is pretty powerful. Is that purpose? I'm doing this program that we're doing, The Power to Live Your Vision, that's purpose-driven, because now that's why we're going to write a book. Because, we're not just hanging out and doing something, because we're expecting an outcome from being able to do that. So now as we're moving forward in our program, each program is a chapter. And again, we're not really doing this for anyone. We're really doing this for ourselves. Nathan and I, we generally talk 10 or 15 times a week, and we're always talking about the same thing. And, and how do we move forward? So think about this. So, true empowerment is beginning from within. When you are disciplined, when you discipline your thoughts, you guide your association and you align your actions with your vision, you begin to manifest. That's that word. That's not witchcraft. You begin to manifest a life of clarity, confidence, and success. So remember, start with the end in mind. Any final wrap up from you, Coach?
Yeah, I mean, that point right there, I mean, all of what you shared, definitely. One of the other things, I'll just close out on this. is the other thing it does, because you're not always lacking. Sometimes if you get confirmations when you go in those rooms that you're on the right path. And other times your confidence gets boosted because you're looking at this person and they're doing great things and you're going, you know what? I can do that. I mean, they're not any more than what I am. If they're having that results, I can have that results. So it's not a knock on anyone, but it can actually build your confidence. So right there when you said to manifest a life of clarity and confidence and success, that confidence can come in when you realize, you know what, I can do that too. So that's another thing of being in those rooms with other people. You realize sometimes in some ways your own greatness. So that I'll just leave with that as well, because it can work in that way as well. So, but no, thank you for a great session today. It was great.
Well, and you have to look back at your wins. You see, I got all these awards behind me, here. These are my wins. I'm always great. Yeah, I mean, I'm always great. Someone may say, well, man, that is arrogant. No. If you don't like yourself, that's a problem.
Big problem.
I went to New York to Louise Hayes seminar. And I bought a poster and I kept it for years. And then I gave it to a student. And that poster says, I am great. There's no one just like me. There never has been, and there never will be. I am forevermore a divine creation. So, when I look at the things that I do and people, and I'm recognized or I receive an award for it, I've got, I guess about 60 or 70 6-foot trophies over here on the other side. So when I walk in my office, I am surrounded by positive things that reflect my life. So when you walk into your room, what is reflective of your life? What are the things that you are doing? What are those little bitty marks in the sand that you can go? What are the things I have? And you don't want to hide those things. I tell martial artists, they go to these events and they receive awards, they take them home. They don't even show them to their students, because I'm hoping that that someone can be influenced by my success or my awards, my achievement. Grandmaster Chuck Norris is one of my heroes, and he became my hero the very first day I started the martial arts. I saw him holding this giant trophy cup. I knew at that moment I wanted to be a karate champion. So you have those things that influence you in your life. The question is, do you want to become empowered? So check out my book. You can go to Amazon and just put my name in, JESSIE Got over 60 books there that I've written on empowerment, how to be able to empower. And, we have an opportunity that you can go. I just started promoting that on yesterday. I have an online course where you can now become a certified public speaker. Hey, Nate, you're one of my first graduates.
I'm a graduate.
but
yes,
great. But look at you now.
Yes. Earning my wings, so to speak. So no, it's great, and continually growing, expanding, doing new things in an even better way, or doing the same things on a higher level is really exciting. I mean, I'm really so stoked from my trip and always from this podcast. And just again, encourage everyone to check us out on Spotify, Roku TV, and other major podcast platforms, because it is truly our drive that some of these things, as the old preacher said, on a Sunday morning, he had a bottle of whiskey and he had a pistol, and he laid it next to the Bible, and he says, "It's my text today that some of these things will move you." So we hope you'll be moved to leave the gun and the liquor alone, and
I was wondering where you were going with that.
I saw you was like, yeah, I saw your face. Yes, sir.
Well, I'm a pastor. I'm going, okay, boy, where you going with this?
Yes,
but
sir.
anyway, everyone, but that's the thing with this is you're going to live life, have fun, enjoy yourself, be the best you can be. If you feel that you need a personal coach, you can see me or Coach Nathan and schedule a time, a performance coaching session. Or if you have a martial arts school and that school is not doing well, and that you are above what it's performing at, or any business, then go to my website. You can go to www.coachjessiebowen.com. A lot of good stuff there, so check it out. Well, everyone, be blessed. Have a great week, and we will see you next Tuesday.